This is Hogchoker with their new song, Crip Camp, on Tell Craig Your Story podcast.
I guess cause they look the normalest. Us TPs were crouched down below the tree. Couldn't even be on the lowest tree limb. I'm not even talking metaphorical things. Even at Crip Camp there was a hierarchy. But Crip Camp Judy treated me like a king, like a person, not a thing. At least something like a human being. So don't talk about me as if I'm not there. Don't talk to my camera, I wanna share my own thoughts that I'm not even seen. Cause you're all so busy keeping me safe, you never ask me what I wanna say, or think or do, you're scared you get the blame. Well, I wanna get drunk and I wanna get laid, wanna fuck you punk band and I wanna play guitar. I might be crippled, but I'm not lame. Like mindless cattle corral the whole herd. And meals fruit fed 3 minutes ignored. We didn't have hands, we could hold our own forks. We were unseen, unwanted, unwatered, unfed, and unheard. Well, Judy was a warrior, Judy had no fear. Judy was a lawyer, Judy was a seer. She saw a future where our freedom could be found. Judy was a punch, wouldn't play by the rules, wouldn't be constrained by society's views, wouldn't let a twisted metal birdcage wheelchair keep her down. Well, for you, every door has always been open. You've no idea how it feels to be broken from birth, but you won't turn the key to let us exist in society as an almost equal. Does it make you uneasy? Does it lower your worth? Make you feel less free? Ba 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 da ba ba da ba 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 da ba ba da ba. Down the Crip Camp. Ba 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 da ba ba da ba 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 da ba ba da ba. Down the Crip Camp. Not a Crip Camp, we were just a bunch of teens. We like to dance and make out a dream, get drunk and high and try to be free. Halloween party 1966, we ran out on the town, no one saw us Crips, cause everyone was looking as fucking weird as we. And I felt maybe we could be in this society. The Bill of Rights, Section 504, Tricky Dicky Nixon threw it out the door. He was anti-commie, anti-socialism, and anti-discrimination. So we took to the streets, we took ourselves and our twisted limbs up off the shelves and out to the daylight. It was a revelation. Well, Carter and Cavado kept blocking the bill, so we took over the San Fran government hall. Be grateful you're American, now go home, is what they said. We can't afford to help, we've got bombs to buy, Vietnamese peasants to blow to the sky. And like those peasants, we knew the world wanted us, silent or dead. We took over the buildings, FBI cut the phones, the death sign messages out the windows. They blocked our medicine and food, but we refused to leave. Black Panthers brought breakfast and meals every day. I said, how you doing this? It's not your war to waste. They said, you want to make the world a better place, and so do we. Down the Crip Camp. We're gonna wheel ourselves up to your parliament, stick your veto right up your firmament, disabled in action, and we're gonna camp right here. Lady in the rap, you hear? all the way to Washington, D.C. Judy led the charge right up to the head of state. Counteract found us at the back door. Police tried to arrest us for breaking the law, but we locked ourselves in for as long as it would take. We barricaded ourselves inside, more afraid to disappoint Judy than the FBI. Judy said, hold fast, it's do or die. Sweeping rough on the floor, us Crips got on well, but the prison began to drill to a mighty swell against government indifference and cruelty. Politically to die on TV, pass the law allowing us to society to codify the Bill of Rights, Section 504. The biggest minority group in the USA, for the first time in history, will have a say to be treated equally under the law. So we can be heard and we can make a fuss. When you build a building, first you must think of us. Happy birthday, Judy. We love you more and more. Ba 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 ba. Down to Crip Camp. Ba 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 ba. Down to Crip Camp. Ba 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 ba. Down to Crip Camp. Ba 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 ba. Down at Crip Camp!
Hello everyone, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we'll be speaking to Simon Jackson. Now Simon is most recognised in Shanghai for being the lead singer of one of the most popular bands coming out of Shanghai, Hogchoker. Now Hogchoker are currently touring China to promote the latest album, 2222. Now Hogchoker were also in the Guinness Book of Records for recording and simultaneously releasing 7 versions of their debut album in 7 genres. Now Simon is also the organiser of the music festival Shanghai Calling, which is on this weekend, and also Hogchoker will be playing there. But before we go, please go to our website. We're at Podbean. Tell Craig Your Story at podbean.com. We have a link tree there which tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is streaming. We are on all the major streaming services. We also have a YouTube channel there. Make sure you have subscribed to get all the latest updates. And I know some of you do prefer the video. We have VK for our Russian listeners, and we have WeChat for our Chinese listeners at Tell Craig Your Story. All right, here we go. This is my chat with Simon on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hi Simon, how you doing tonight?
Hi Craig, thank you for having me on the show.
Cheers to that. On the road. The last time I saw some pictures, you were playing in Hong Kong and Guangzhou, so tell us about those.
Yeah, that was great. So we're touring the album that we're going to be talking about,
yes.
2222, or 2222, or 2222. Interesting title, you can say it a few ways.
It is.
But yeah, it was great. Guangzhou, we played in a bar called Hoolies. It's an Irish bar on 3 floors.
Yeah, right.
And it was 3 years since they'd had a band from outside coming in that wasn't just playing covers.
Right.
And that was amazing. It was the birthday of one of the owners who'd been stuck in Canada for a few years.
Yeah, right.
So that was just a huge party with as much free drink and food as we could stomach.
Oh, as you do. That's awesome.
Hong Kong was more interesting because the guy who runs the WANT hadn't managed to get the right
Proper license.
permits for people to play from outside Hong Kong. So I set up a chat on a Hong Kong radio, and I was going into their breakfast show to chat to a wonderful woman, Louisa Tan. And I got up at 5:30 in the morning to get from Guangzhou with a giant hangover, having had like 3 hours sleep. And on the way, checked my messages, and John from the WANT just going, "You can't mention the show. You can't mention the show. We don't have permits. You have to keep it absolutely stum." So that was quite interesting. It wasn't a huge crowd. I got to the breakfast show. We said, "Well, I believe you've got a really exciting show coming up." It's going, yeah, it's a kind of underground secret one. I can't say the venue. Can I talk about my last poetry collection? Which we did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You just danced around the main question that you're on there for this.
Yeah.
That's good that you're out there, because I think even Hong Kong had the mask. Like, I went there last month, and they had I got in trouble for not wearing the mask. So I think recently they've then just taken that rule off. So that's cool that Hong Kong's getting back to where it was. Have you been there before with the band? Or?
Not with the band, no.
Right.
I mean, I'd been to the Wanch before as well, but not actually playing there.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then Wenzhou we've just played in, and Xi'an we're playing in a week after next.
Yeah, right.
So we're trying to get out of Shanghai now that we're allowed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about what's coming up as well. Like, you're the main guy for the Shanghai
Calling. Yeah, that's going to be a nice big event. So we started it 2 years ago, realising there wasn't like a big alternative festival in Shanghai for local bands at all. And I think we had 14 bands playing the first year and a couple of DJs, and it completely sold out. It was great. Last year we were trying to spread it over 3 evenings, and we were going to have about 18 bands. One evening that was sort of electronica, one evening that was more weird freak pop alternative, and one evening that was all very heavy. And of course COVID stopped.
Oh, yes.
So this year it's spread over 2 days in Yuyintang Park and Yuyintang Original. There's 27 bands playing.
Come on.
Good mix of
That's great.
Local bands from Shanghai, some expat bands, a lot of Chinese bands, quite a few bands from Beijing, Wenzhou, Hangzhou, all over the country coming down. We've got Rolling Bowling, they're headlining. They were
nice.
Pretty big act who've been on quite a big record label for a long time.
Yeah, right.
Hey Lily, I'd say best female rock band in Shanghai, definitely.
Oh, yes.
Flying Game, Sunken Square, Dirty Fingers and Am Corporation both have one band member. They're like, I'm not sure if they're getting back to the country in time.
Right.
So we're hoping that we'll have them as well.
And you've gone through it as well, probably more than me, that you're going away, you want to go see your family, you want to travel. You also got a band here as well. You want to write music. So, yeah, it's good to see that even though some of these bands have lost members, they're still, okay, well, let you play music, I play music, let's go and jam and let's create something completely different. So that's just how sort of the Shanghai music scene rolls, right?
Our drummer, who's from Pakistan, he just emigrated to Canada this week. So
yeah.
On Thursday, we actually rehearsed a new drummer.
Oh, yes.
And she was absolutely brilliant. My wife was like, is this going to be another hot chick you get into the band?
Right.
I'm not sure I'm into this.
Right.
But Emily was brilliant. She used to play in Exit 4 with our current bassist back in Ningbo, down in Ningbo about 10 years ago. And
how do you...
yeah, that was
Sorry.
right. She was very hot, very talented. And then she started talking about her girlfriend, and I was like, oh, my wife's going to be so happy you're gay.
Another piece of the puzzle for Hogchoker.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but yeah, how are you doing that? How are you sort of, I mean, your music's so diverse. If you have someone come in and try out, do they play covers, or are they playing your songs off the new album, or?
Yeah, I give them a couple of the more straightforward songs.
Yes.
And at least one of the really fucked up ones.
Right.
That, like, goes from salsa into waltz into really heavy metal.
So you got to do a little bit of your homework.
Yeah, so I expect them to have had a good listen.
Right.
And to be able to go from sort of swing jazz into a really fast beat into ska. And obviously a lot of drummers and guitarists are just like, what the hell? I'm not even interested.
Yeah.
But if you get someone who is kind of enthusiastic about that and really gets it, then I kind of feel they're going to fit with the band.
And that's really cool as well. Like, she'll bring a whole new element into the band. And who knows what sort of music. New members, new music, new ideas.
And that's right. I mean, that's another thing. I think we've gone through about 20 members in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But every person, I write the basic structure and record it, bring it in. And then once we've kind of got the structure, it's like, you guys are much better musicians than me on your own instruments. Now just improvise and add to it and change it. So every band member who comes in really changes the sound.
Yeah.
We've just started playing with electric violinist Dave, who that's just brilliant, getting the saxophone and the violin really riffing off
Adds
each
another
other.
element,
It's
doesn't it?
amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. So when was the sort of idea to bring this new album out? When did you start? Was it obviously COVID? And plenty of time to sort of get ideas out?
Yeah. Yeah.
You must have been really busy, because there's a lot of tracks on this new album, and I don't know how you describe your genre to someone.
Yeah, we don't really. There's a few people in Hong Kong. I don't know what the hell I listened to, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I like. Other people have tried. I jotted down a couple of reviews here. So, add to want list said part genius, part madman, the most eclectic and entertaining set of songs you'll hear this year.
There you go.
As for this album, extraordinary, creative, original, and fearless. That's Habibi Records.
Come on.
And the one that describes the album best is the China CN Music Review, who put Shanghai's most prolific and amorphous act returned with their ambitious, wildly imaginative concept album, a multi-genre 22 release celebrating the birthdays of 22 historical characters who would celebrate their 100, 200 or 300th birthday this year. And that's kind of what the whole album's about. Shanghai Top 5, they called us a seasoned cesspool of punk, ska, salsa, jazz and klezmer that's captivated Shanghai audiences for years.
But
That's what we sound like.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
But they're missing so much more. I mean, there's rock, there's bluegrass, there's techno, there's everything. So
There's more bluegrass now with the violin as well.
well, there you go, yeah.
It's like, I wasn't expecting the song to go that way.
Yeah. And just listening to it, some things that just come out just randomly. Who's the Brazil lover, Ipanema girl?
Well, that was written for my wife, Diana. It was, that's a long story in itself. She's basically, we were living in Yugoslavia. She's Serbian.
All right.
But her sister was born, she was born in Bosnia. Her sister was born in Kosovo. She grew up in mainly in Libya and Iraq. Her dad was an engineer. So, good sort of axis of evil grouping there.
Yes! It's a nice mix.
And we ended up, during the war in Yugoslavia, well, after the actual civil war, but while the Kosovo crisis was going on, we were living there. I'd met her because I was playing in a terrible Yugoslavian thrash band. And the lead singer was like, we go to a bar with very hot women. The waitresses, they all look like supermodels. And Yana didn't look like a supermodel. She looked like a really cute, nice girl who I could ask if she knew where the bathroom was.
Right.
And that was the first things I ever said to her. And and we've ended up married with 2 kids and living here in Shanghai.
Wow.
But so every day we were getting messages saying Belgrade is going to be bombed unless the Yugoslavian army get out of Kosovo. The bombing is about to start. All that great black humour everyone was spraying signs on their walls. Shall I clean my windows this week, or is NATO going to finally drop the bombs? A different place, like, we're putting targets on the roof saying, try and hit this, you bastards. There was a weird graveyard humour going on. But finally my mum called and said, what the hell are you doing there? BBC said they're going to bomb in a day and every British citizen's left.
Yeah.
And they haven't. Me and the other teachers for the Bradford University were all there. And I called the British Embassy, and they were like, oh yeah, we left a message on the head of English's answer machine a few weeks ago. I was like, that was me, but I was away on holiday. Didn't sound very urgent. Oh, well, I want you to get out. I was like, well, okay, give us a hand. What do we do? Do we come to the embassy? Oh, no, you'll not be allowed in. Why don't you get your mum to wire you some money? I'm like, everyone's an adult, and where are you living? Because the banks have been closed for the last 3 months.
Right.
We couldn't get money out from anywhere. And basically, the British Embassy are pretty useless. They're just like tough.
Yeah.
Just try and survive.
We don't want to do it.
And we managed to get a flight out to Cyprus initially. It was the only flight the travel agent we went to had got out of the country. It was the last flight that took off from Belgrade Airport. So we actually got into the flight. It was full of women and children, obviously, like lots of people just put their family on it. As soon as it took off, there was this kind of sigh of relief, and everyone lit cigarettes, and the trolley dollies is not the right word we're meant to use anymore. The flight attendant ladies were coming up and down, going, oh, put out the cig, and everyone's just, oh, screw you.
Yeah.
And then they started lighting up as well and just saying, oh yeah, we're done. And we landed in Cyprus, went to a bar, and it looked like a kind of video game on the screen of these little green lines coming up and little flashes of light. Yeah. I don't know if you ever played that video game. It's a very old one where you've got little cities at the bottom you got to defend.
Oh.
Little missiles coming down.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, what's that? And they were like, oh, that's Belgrade. Yeah, they bombed the airport an hour ago. They're hitting all the bridges now. And
Jesus.
And we're like, whoa. So, from there, Yana's dad actually managed to get us a visa to go to Peru, where he was working at the time. We realised it's the only place in the world where they won't employ English teachers because there's such a lot of British speakers anyway in Cyprus with the naval base and things. Right. So Yana was working in a fairly grotty bar. The hotel that we were staying in, I think, thought we were much younger than we were. Probably, Yana was like 22, I was maybe 26. We were fairly young. But they thought we were kind of students who'd just been shipped out.
Right.
And they were really, really nice. They were like, oh, there's some rooms in the back that the Russian prostitutes when they come for the summer. You can sleep there for free. At the end of breakfast, I'm going to leave the food out so you can grab enough food for the day. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
And of course, in Cyprus, they kind of saw the whole Kosovo thing as very similar to the Turks coming into Cyprus. Mm. They're also sort of Greek Orthodox, Serbian Orthodox religion. And they sort of saw a parallel, I guess, and then felt a kinship. Me and Yana aren't of any religion, so we didn't quite have that link, but people were really nice to us there. Until Yana's dad finally managed to bribe someone in Peru to get us a visa, because no one would give Yana a visa.
Right.
They were like, the world's kind of at war with your country, and you're a student, you've got no real reason to go back. And we eventually went to this hotel where this really small Peruvian guy with a huge metal briefcase handcuffed to his hand came in and took us into this little back office, and we gave him $500, and he unlocked his suitcase, put the money in. We gave him our passports, and he took out these fabulous golden visas that he stuck into our passports carefully, stamped them all, and bang, there you go. So that was us. That's how we ended up in South America.
Wow. Did you also play in South America?
Initially in the Irish bar. Played a lot of Beatles covers to just make a bit of money.
Yeah.
In the Irish bar.
All right.
But yeah, we had a band out there. That's when I really got into salsa and South American music. I think on all of the albums. You can hear a lot of the South American rhythms.
Yeah, definitely.
Coming over the punk.
Yeah.
I loved Peru. The music was incredible. Any nightclub you went to, there was like an 8-piece band with a full brass section playing salsa, and it's just so infectious to dance to.
I didn't get up that far. I went to Argentina and Brazil, but it was such a party. They got such a party atmosphere down there. It's like sleep all day, get up about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, have some dinner, and just party, dance, play music. Yeah, and then if they wake up a little bit early, they go to the beach. What a lifestyle!
I mean, I did have to work as well when I was there. So back to the album.
Yeah.
Every Day is a Carnival. Luis Bonfa. I'd never heard of him, but we took a trip to Brazil, and we ended up teaching in an international school there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Newton International College, which was fabulous. And you got the whole of their summer break. 3 months you got off from mid-December to mid-March. And in Peru, everyone gets a double salary at the end of the year. So we had 4 months' wages with 3 months to travel. Went down to Brazil, got to Rio de Janeiro. Some guy offered us a penthouse apartment. This is before you got on mobile phones and things and booking in advance on internet. Couldn't find some like dodgy guy at the train. Do you want somewhere to stay? I take you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, are we going to be mugged? But no, he took us to this great place near the beach, so we just walked down to Copacabana Beach.
Copacabana.
Started drinking, what are those fabulous cachaça with a bit of lemon, and it just doesn't taste particularly strong. Caipirinhas.
Oh, yes.
So we were just sitting on the beach drinking caipirinhas in this little bar for hours as the sun went down, and then we stood up to go back to our apartment and both fell over.
Yes.
We were utterly legless. And the song's kind of about that, it's about lying, making love in this way too hot apartment, very hungover, and turning the radio on. Luis Bonfa was playing. I'd never heard of him. Beautiful, beautiful guitarist. And Yana was telling me all about him, how poor he'd been, and how he used to walk like 6 hours every day to go to this guitar teacher who'd teach him for free because he thought it was so great.
Yeah.
But it's really a love song for Yana.
Oh, so sweet. With the new album, you were saying, like, when did the ideas start coming in? Was it around the COVID time?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of
so how did you get it all together? I mean, it's all over that. Like, one song is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one is like. So, what comes first? I mean, normally a rock band would say, "Oh, yeah, it's all about the riff," but it's not all about the riff for you. Or maybe for some, maybe like a ska song or a punk song. But for you, how does it all get together?
The concept, absolutely. With this,
the concept first.
I was writing a lot of poetry at the time, and I thought, I always thought Philip Larkin's "This Be the Verse" would be a great punk song. Yeah. He was, when I was like 15 or so, I was taught him, and I know he's problematic. He's definitely written lots of racist and sexist comments in his letters to Kingsley Amis, but great poet. He's got a whole generation into poetry, and it was the first poem I'd seen with fuck in it. I was like, oh my God, you can be like a famous poet and start with, they fuck you up, your mum and dad, they may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the thoughts they had and add some extra just for you. Wow. But they were fucked up in their turn by fools in old style hats and coats, who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats. Man hands on misery to man, it deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out as early as you can and don't have any kids yourself. That's the whole poem. That's punk lyrics.
Perfect. Yeah.
So anyway, I recorded a thrashy punk version of that, and then went, oh, he's going to be 100 next year. I wonder who else has got a centenary or bicentenary or tricentenary. And that was the start. And quite quickly I realised I wanted it to be very diverse and mainly be people that no one had heard of, but that they should have. And I wanted to have a lot more civil rights activists and scientists and people that I felt were admirable which, other than being a great poet, I'm not sure Philip Larkin was in his private life or some of his views. And I got to having researched maybe like 50 people or so for it. And I was feeling very pleased. I'd got some great Danish naturalists and lawyers and freedom fighters. And I was going through the list and I realised, God, nearly everyone is white, European or American or Australian and male. And I was even, I was trying to be diverse. And I kind of realised, these are the people who have been writing the history. That there actually is not very much about African and Asians written in English from 100 years ago, or women, even less from people who were born 200 years ago, or 300 or 400 years ago.
Didn't they try and erase that sort of history? Isn't the Chinese?
Definitely some areas did. And that was how the whole overall concept came about. That it was trying to find some people who should be heard about.
Yeah.
And it's called 2222, not 2022. I know we're a little bit late touring it because of COVID, but because it's set actually 200 years in the future. I'm not sure if I can even try and explain the science fiction concept. Listen to the first track, it sort of says it. But the idea was that as computers and everything, every electronic device has got more and more interlinked through the World Wide Web and cloud storage, that slowly these Trump bots have been released into everything, and over a space of 50 or 60 years through these huge sites like Assbook, which is the new Facebook, basically every single electronic thing has been infected. And on a certain date, everything, as you were saying, it erases all history that isn't basically in favour of white supremacists.
Right.
And I know you could say that's kind of as history has been written for the last 1,000 years anyway, all white and male, but this absolutely just takes it so everyone else is removed, and our heroes, who are a little guerrilla fighting group called Hogchoker, surprisingly enough.
All right.
That is the band name as well. They set sail on the SS Hogchoker to find the last device that has not been infected, where they might be able to get some historical knowledge from. I'm going very cant there. Dare to understand, sapere aude. Dare to understand and to reason, knowledge is power. And they find in the Shetland Islands have trained killer dolphins to keep outsiders out. It's one of the only places that hasn't been hit by this huge virus. And there is one mobile phone that has not been infected. So they set off on their journey to find what actually happened in history over the past thousands of years, and to try to bring it back into the public knowledge. And unfortunately, most of the keys aren't working, which is why it's all people who were born or died in years ending 22.
Right.
It's a bit of a specious argument, but that
I'm still thinking about the killer dolphins.
I liked that bit. Yeah, I think we need a whole story about that. An album.
There you go. The revenge of the killer dolphins.
Yes.
They fight back.
So that was basically the starting point. This ridiculous concept that kind of just linked in people with centenaries that were coming up last year.
Going through like all the credit, Matt Barker gets a lot of credits for. Tell me about this guy. I'm not too familiar.
Great local musician. He was a professional musician in Nashville. Worked there for many years. Scottish guy.
Yeah. Great,
really tight sort of pop rock alternative singer and guitarist. And basically our drummer left just as we were about to start recording.
Damn drummers.
And I got to realising I'm not going to get all 22 songs done unless I try to be a bit more divergent, So our bassist, he also has a sort of a drum and bass group called Clan Brood. So I was like, okay, can you write some of the music? We'll have some techno stuff on it. There's this great guy called Charles Hermite, who would have been 200 last year, a French mathematician. I knew nothing about him except he created the law, E is transcendental. So that has to be a rave song.
That's the last. Is that the last track?
Yeah.
Right.
And Matt Barker, he'd already got his band together. I really liked him. We played together before. I was like, hey, if I throw you some lyrics and some ideas, what do you think if you write the music to 4 or 5 of them and we do them together? And then that's hopefully only going to leave me about 15 to do with the band while trying to rehearse a new drummer for it. So that's how Matt came involved. He's actually about to leave to move to Kazakhstan. So Shanghai Calling on June 10th and 11th will be the Matt Barker project's last gig in Asia, at least for a good while.
Right, so get on down there. Come on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And how long did this whole process take? I mean, it seems like it would have taken forever.
From the first idea, it was well over a year. But because of the drummer leaving, and then there was the summer, and we were all locked down, it was hard to do anything. We ended up sort of recording it all in about 3 months.
Right.
Which just meant we were in the rehearsal space, like, going, okay, we've got 4 songs we have to learn. Then Saturday into the studio, let's record those 4 songs. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So I think you can hear that in some of the production. And I was very keen that it had to be released on the 22nd of February at 22:22.
Right. 22
in
seconds.
2022.
Right.
2.
Yeah.
And I think when you listen, I hope there's a sort of a punk scrappiness that you might enjoy to a lot of the songs. But they probably could have been a bit polished if we'd given ourselves another year.
But that in turn, there's also that sort of style that you have in Shanghai with the underground, that whole live, in your face, not so perfect, but yeah.
Energy and attitude.
Yeah.
Over polish.
Yes. And sometimes you can maybe over polish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, the album before the guy who produced it, Jonathan, who was great, the first songs he sent me back, he kind of added bits of keyboards over the top, and they almost sound like ELO.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I.
So this time it was more of an. So who produced this?
We just did it ourselves.
Right.
Tom, the bassist, did most of it. I kind of just pulled things in order and added like a few extra sax parts and things. I was like, okay, Tom, that's kind of how it goes. He was trying to master and mix without having really done it before. But he did brilliantly, learning on the job and we ended up just mixing it all in a couple of weeks and going, okay, that has to do. Let's get it out. Let's do the launch party. And then, of course, we were all locked down almost straight after that before we got to tour it at all. So,
yeah, right.
So,
but now you have.
Yeah, that's why we're loving touring it now.
So what are your plans now for touring it? And you've already talked a little bit about the response of the album so far. So how has it been with the fans and international fans as well?
We've had some brilliant reviews from it, which has been really great. Time Out said Hogchoker are not a band, they're a sensory explosion, which, as you were saying about the sort of energy and things, that definitely works.
Watching your live performances, I think it would be hard to, because you have to see you guys play. You're a live band,
Absolutely.
Right? Would you say you're a live band?
Yeah, definitely.
So when you listen to this, you go, how the hell are they going to play this live? Difficult to play live, these songs? I mean, it's so diverse.
I think these are easier than the last album, because in here you've got kind of 25 songs that sound like they could have been made by 25 bands.
Right.
Because we were trying to get the right music for each person from each country. It's like, that needs to be Caribbean. This one's definitely bossa nova. This is a tango, but it's about wrestlers. It's got to be a tango that goes really heavy metal. Whereas the last album, you'd got those changes within one song. And of course, we've got some like great Jamaican guys in on that as well, who were, because they were locked down just at the start of COVID, were like pleased to collaborate and give us a bit of some fabulous Rasta vocals going over it. But yeah, it makes it a very interesting gig, when you're going through so many styles. But I think live, the main thing is, even if we're going from klezmer to ska to salsa, the ones we do live are all great dance songs.
Yeah.
It's all about getting all the audience up and dancing. Hopefully they'll pick up a bit of the politics behind it as well. But if they don't, they don't. That's,
Sometimes just...
yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah. I didn't know this until...
Sian, yeah.
Sian.
Yeah.
Is she still in the band? Or
No, she's absolutely doing her own stuff
yeah,
now.
stuff, right.
She's like doing brilliant stuff. She's
Yeah.
just actually, from having had a couple of years of just playing as a solo person, like with a track behind her, she's got a full band together.
Finally.
now. And
Yeah.
the last time I saw her, she got these huge drums, like the Chinese drums that you hit above your head on the stage. So she will also be at Shanghai Calling.
Come on.
Yeah, that all came about after, so I guess about 8 years ago, we're getting quite big in Shanghai, and we'd done quite a few gigs around China, and then we did a tour of Japan. We got asked to play in some festivals in the Philippines, the Nine, Devet, which is a brilliant festival in Yugoslavia and Serbia. They wanted us to go and play with the Antwerp. And there was a real buzz going on, and I used to work in theatre, which you can probably tell when you see the band. There's a very theatrical side to it. Lots of changes of costumes and dry ice and things and makeup. This guy used to run Lost Vagueness, which was a brilliant company him and his wife ran.
Yeah.
My company was Living Art Space Theatre Company, which is, again, a very multimedia company based in Manchester. And he used to do these great shows, like they booked a whole train and had like first class Michelin starred food, and you'd buy a ticket to go all the way from Edinburgh to London and back, and have entertainers performing all the way down and all the way back. So they had this kind of hippie, cool performance. And I bumped into him again, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" So I was showing him some of the videos of the tour. He's like, "Well, yeah, me and the wife split up, but I kept the Lost Vagueness field in Glastonbury, and she kept the name of the company. And why don't you come and play there? That'd be brilliant." And for me, Glastonbury Festival is the greatest festival in the world. My theatre company actually had a big show there with a big pyrotechnics company. It was an alternative telling of the Frankenstein story, where the monster actually runs off and joins a circus and falls in love with the mummy. I think a werewolf appears in it as well. All with live music and lots of pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, I'd always wanted to play Glastonbury as a musician, not just as a theatre person. Super excited. Got back here, started planning it. We were about to launch our first album. Told everyone, people started not turning up to rehearsals. What the fuck's going on? Finally went to the drummer, someone who again is a good mate now, though we did fall out over this. "What's going on, Jarrett?
It's Glastonbury.
It's Glastonbury! And he's like, "I'm busy, man." I was like, "Yeah, you've been busy for months. You won't speak to me. What the hell? I'm just going to sit in your garden with a six pack, and at some point, you're going to not be busy. You'll have put your kid to bed, and you're going to talk to me. And if you haven't, I'm going to go and get another six pack and just keep throwing stones at your window." So he's like, "Oh, okay, fuck it, come in." And basically said, "Look, I'm leaving the band." I was like, "Okay, but don't tell anyone else till we've done the show. And can you stay till Glastonbury?" He's like, "I told everyone else 3 months ago, but I knew you were going to take it really badly. And everyone's out. No one, they all think you're bullying them." And sure, I got them together, and the bassist like, "It's become the Simon Jackson show. What the hell? You forced us to tour Japan. I haven't gone to see my family." And I'm like, "I paid for us all from the money we'd made in gigs. No one bought a ticket or had to stay in a hotel. We did stay on the floors of some pretty grotty places from other Japanese bands we were playing with, but no one had to pay for anything. And now you expect us to spend all summer in bloody Europe. And yeah, they were actually angry about Glastonbury. We did do the album launch, split up, and then the bassist from Pinball City, Mark, who now plays in Bad Treatment, he was like, "You got a Glastonbury show? Fuck! We reformed the band! Let's do it! I'm your bassist!" So we kind of got people together again, and that's when CM joined. So we'd been playing at the Beer Nanza Festival. She'd just been promoting beer. I'd got her up on stage because she was really cool. And I was like, "Wow, you've got a great voice. I know you just think I'm another older white guy trying to hit on you. But seriously, this is for the music. Can I get your WeChat?"
Yeah.
So I called her and we restarted the band. That's how Sian joined it. It was a bit late for Glastonbury. She couldn't get a visa in time.
Right.
So Glastonbury didn't happen still. But we had a great new lineup for the next... and two of the young guys who were playing were both going off to university. We had this great Brazilian guitarist and a French drummer, but they were both like going off doing masters and things. So that was a short-lived little... but obviously Sian stayed with us for several years.
Yeah, right. But it says here that she's just a guest vocal, so she's just coming in and just...
Yeah, so she's like come in and recorded a few things with us since. She's come to a few of the gigs and done a few songs.
Yeah. Awesome. And you're in the world... Is it the Guinness Records?
Ah, yes. Well, actually, we're not anymore.
Oh!
We did 10 versions of the first album, all as different genres.
How did this come up, and how I can just think of the hours and hours of time trying to get this thing together.
Yeah, it's another thing like the 222. You may be seeing a pattern of insanity here. Yeah.
Where do you fit the time in?
I don't sleep very much.
Right.
I do a lot after the kids are asleep, just sitting up all night doing stuff. Get a couple of hours, then go and work. That was great fun. Again, most of the band didn't want to do it, didn't feel they'd got time, but we had an entirely Chinese group all playing guzhons and pipa and traditional instruments for one of the versions.
That's so cool.
We had an EDM version, it was more sort of drum and bass. And only the lyrics stayed the same. Nearly every tune changed, all the chord structures changed. We had a jazz album, a bossa nova one, a thrash metal one. I got my computer stolen during the making, and we did lose a few of the versions. But I think we released 7 completely separate full albums on the launch date. We got Guinness Book of Records representative there. They were like, "Yeah, no one's done that before. 7 completely different versions of the same album on the same day."
Damn.
And then about a year later, I was like, "Where's it gone? I saw it on the online version. Where is it?" And I got in touch, and they were like, "Oh, we've gone through, and we decided that genre is too subjective. So we've
technicality,
removed quite a lot of things out." So
blasted things.
I know, bastards.
But again, like this shows your versatility. And I was just thinking about this just before you come over about Slayer. I mean, love the band, great band, but I have to be in the mood to listen to Slayer. They're just like in your face, just banging your head against the concrete, just. But this one, it's like, oh yeah, I'm in this mood today. I can pick track 4, I can pick track 10. You know what I mean? So what do you listen to with your broad range of playing all these different types? Like you could just pigeonhole some people in there. So what are you listening to?
My default actually is not very super exciting, slightly miserable British alternative rock.
Who's the Bob Dylan fan?
Not me. I love his writing and things, but I wouldn't say I'm hugely influenced. Although I have to say the Crip camp, I mean, that really is my hurricane. The sort of 5-minute epic story. Yeah, it's not fair to say I'm not a Bob Dylan fan, but I don't feel he's a great musical influence.
Right.
But maybe in some of the storytelling and things.
All right. I just think
but yeah,
that
a lot of South American music as well. So like, my like easy listening is bang on a bit of I Am Clute, or I think are intricate and interesting, and
did you
quite
go down there?
Scottish.
It said on the website that you played 3 shows in South America, and then it got cancelled due to the COVID.
That was just with me and the guitarist at the time. He was there getting married. My wife's sister's married to an Argentinian. We wanted to go and see them anyway. It's like, yes, let's do a strip down. We'll like try to get a couple of Argentinian guys in.
Yeah, right.
3 shows were good. But yeah, bloody COVID.
Yeah.
Wrecks a lot. And Argentinian music is fabulous. Because that's what I was about to say next. Is like, there's my sort of teenage default, noisy, alternative. But then I heard, living in Peru particularly, Fabulous Cadillacs and all these amazing bands who just mix ska and salsa and all the local musics and do it in a really upbeat, sing-alongable way. Like, most people haven't even heard Los Fabulosos Cadillacs, but they are in South America bigger than the Beatles. Like, the Clash flew down there to record with them. Debbie Harry did. The people who are really into music know them. It's, and I think that sort of band was the biggest influence who really were mixing things up. Camper Van Beethoven, actually, as well, in the 90s. That was the first band when I was just into punk at that time and a bit of ska. And I saw them, and they'd got like the violin player playing very sort of East European klezmer type riffs. They had one song that sounded super heavy metal, then the next song sounded like country and western, and were just all over the place.
Right.
And I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. And I also saw you had like a mix of the Hogchoker's favourite songs, and one was Mr. Bungle.
He's
like,
someone else who does that, and I love them.
Yes. I'm a huge Mike Patton fan, and he always... Like, he was the one guy that you could rely on that could come down to Australia. He just loved coming to Australia. So when Faith No More were off tour, he'd go with Bungle, and then it was Tomahawk, and then it was the one with Dave Lombardo on drums. It was just him screaming. So I think Faith No More is still going, but yeah, he's one of those guys that just reminds me a little bit of you, just getting out there playing all the time. Whatever sounds good or whatever you're into at the moment, okay, let's record it. I think that's so cool. It's really cool.
And that mixtape, that just shows how bad I am technologically, because I was just trying to put that together for band members.
Oh, right.
So, like, listen to some of this stuff, get some of this range.
Yeah.
And then a mate's like, oh yeah, I saw all that stuff you put up on your Bandcamp or SoundCloud or wherever it is. I was like, oh, can everyone see that? Yeah. Oh, I've got no idea.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.
Hi, I'm Tony Fair, founder of Victorian Grooming Company. Is your beard feeling dry or the skin underneath itchy? Maybe you'd rather soften and tame your beard instead. Our classic collection of beard oils, balms, and soaps will leave your beard looking, feeling, and smelling amazing. And if you prefer shaving, our pre-shave oils and shave soaps will give you a smooth and razor burn-free shave. Handmade in Edmonton with natural ingredients. Visit victoriangrooming.com.